Good morning. Um, hey, Mr. Robinson here. You're welcome. So look, today we are going into World War II, which we went into yesterday, but today is American involvement into World War II. The Second World War, as what we've studied, has already started. But today is what we're going to look at is America getting into the war, why America got into the war, all right, because there's reasons behind that, and then the effect somewhat that America had on the war. Okay, we're going to be looking at this more in the next few days, but let's just go ahead and get into it now. So, you ready? Because I am. All right, ready? Here you go. Boom. From the beginning of the slideshow. The United States in World War II. So the United States, the war kicks off, like I said, 1939, September. The United States was staying out of it. That policy of neutrality or isolationism does not want to get into the war. But they were doing a few things that show that America was actually preparing to get into the war, that America was moving towards getting into the war. If you look at it here, a selective service. So America's not in the war, yet they're starting a draft. So that in itself should show you that hey, America is looking at trying to get in, and maybe not necessarily trying, but possibly getting into this war. This Lend-Lease policy. The Lend-Lease policy is something I always see on the final exam. What America was doing was they were supplying weapons and arsenals to the Allies being France and Great Britain, mainly Great Britain at this point, because France got out of it because they didn't get out of it, but they had to surrender to Germany. So really, remember, Britain is the only one there. It's just Germany, Italy. They're taking on Great Britain. So the United States, though, even though we're not like directly supplying troops, we were supplying weapons to the Allies, similar to what the United States was doing in World War One when that Lusitania ship got sunk. You remember that? You know that? You should know it because I taught it to you. Um, so that's the Lend-Lease policy. The Atlantic Charter is another example of a movement towards war. A sign between the United States and Britain. It basically said, hey, we are in a partnership with you. Even though we're not directly militarily involved at this point, we are in a partnership with you. And so it similarly resembles the 14 points of Woodrow Wilson. So you have these arsenals, or these, not arsenals, but these sides that promote democracy trying to team up. Adolf Hitler. So this is actual. We're looking at the war and the context of the war, and the big mistake that Adolf Hitler. That's not him. That's Joseph Stalin right there. A picture of him at the bottom. Obviously, it's not him. He's dead now. That's just a picture of him. Adolf Hitler. What he did was he turned his attention and the German attention towards Russia. Okay, so the Germans attacked Russia, even though they had already signed that non-aggression pact with Russia. They went ahead and attacked Russia. A surprise attack. The Russians weren't expecting that. But here's the thing. Where does that work? The Blitzkrieg worked in France because France is a small country. Russia is huge. All right, big country, big, just like me. I'm a big guy. All right, it's huge. So the Blitzkrieg, although it had some success, remember that Blitzkrieg, the German style of warfare, had some success starting off in Russia. You can't just overwhelm and attack Russia very quickly and conquer it very quickly. It's going to take some time. And the Russian winter set in. So now Germany is involved in a war on two fronts. They're fighting Britain over there to the west, even though it's really an air war at the time. And to the east, they're fighting this huge, vast empire of Russia. So Germany is just it's seen as a mistake by historians and military historians that they went and attacked Russia. So that happens in 1941, in the summer of 1941. In the winter of 1941, another game changer. Okay, I just like me. Okay, I changed the game in this history department when I came in here and started teaching over here at Pinecrest. Okay, I'm not That's just a joke. All right. But it's a game changer. The United States jumping in and getting in the war. Well, why is the United States getting in the war? This is on the test. Okay. The reason is there was an attack at Pearl Harbor by the Empire of Japan. Well, why did Japan attack the United States? Here's why. Japanese aggression in the Pacific. Remember, they were conquering all these countries, Manchuria, China. The United States puts an oil embargo on Japan. Japan, not being an island, rich in that it doesn't. It's not rich in natural resources. It's an island, so it's not rich in natural resources. They need the oil to fuel their war machine. Okay, the United States is like, no more. We're cutting you off from oil. So now Japan's ticked. They're irritated. So what do? In order to strike back at the United States, they attack them. Boom, take the United States on December 7, 1941, at Pearl Harbor. Not a in Hawaii, which was not part. It was not a state in the United States at that point. They attack a naval base at Pearl Harbor. Okay, surprise attack. And part of the assignment here is you have to read the words of our president at the time, Franklin Roosevelt. He says, it's a day that will live in infamy. Okay, a sudden and deliberate attack by the Empire of Japan. So it wasn't using the word sudden and deliberate, meaning, hey, this was planned. Okay, this is premeditated. All right. I don't know if you guys study law, but there's a difference between premeditated or first degree murder and second degree murder. So the United States, right? Hey, we get attacked by this Empire of Japan, and it's really a mistake on the Empire of Japan. But at the time, it looked pretty dire, for the United States. And the United States declares war on Japan, and then Germany and Italy both declare war on the United States. So now everybody's in this thing. It's a world war. We already did it once, 20 some years ago. We're doing it again. Second World War is on. America during the war. So what does America do? All right, millions, being very patriotic. I'm going to tell you, you guys probably don't remember September 11th. After September 11th, there was a huge outpouring of patriotism within the United States. Now, I was only in like 6th or 7th grade, but a lot of people right after that still volunteered to go into the military. Same thing here with Pearl Harbor. A lot were volunteered to go in. A lot got drafted. People didn't get drafted after September 11th, but during this time, they did. The Women's Auxiliary Corps was using women to aid in military production or military things as well. I would tell you, my grandmother was a nurse during World War II, and she was a nurse that part of her job was to take care of wounded servicemen. Okay, so women played an active role in this as well, and really, kind of like in World War I, but even on a much larger scale, women started working in the factories. All right, and they started taking men's jobs. Remember, because the men go off to war, well, women are going to be working in the factories, taking the jobs that had traditionally been held by men. Minorities serving in the armed forces at this time as well, although it was in segregated units. So we're going to see, once we get to the civil rights era, the civil rights desegregation policy kind of starts with the military after World War II, but minorities did serve to a large extent in this war as well. So here you go, life on the home front. Remember, like I said, everything that happened in World War I with war production, war rations, women in jobs, there's a picture of Rosie the Riveter there, happens on a much larger scale in America in World War II, because America is more involved for a longer time. There's several differences. One, the United States was attacked. Land that we own was attacked. Okay, at Pearl Harbor. Whereas in World War I, there was, the Lusitania was sunk. There were a couple other things, but it's like we weren't fully stepping into the bucket like we did in World War II. Scientists, this is important, this Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project was a project we'll get to later, more into it, a project to develop a superior weapon of mass destruction, the atomic bomb. Okay, so they're also mobilized to develop penicillin, radar, sonar, things that can aid in the warfare technology. Women and their jobs, okay, newsreels, entertainment industry, all of this is America. There's some propaganda, but all of this is stuff that we already studied that happened in World War One, but it just happens on a bigger scale in World War Two. Government control. So many products, again, they're rationed off for the troops. So there's a ration on how much the American citizen can use because the troops need it overseas. Income taxes are increased because war. The taxes are increased, all right, because now everybody has a job, right? Because everyone is working to support this war. So the government can afford to increase taxes, but it also needs to increase taxes because you got to pay for the war. All right, war bonds. That's another way they were paying for the war. War bonds are being sold. So all of this is going on, and now a lot of people, a lot of economists and historians say that the last unit we looked at, the Great Depression, what really brought the country out of it, and even the world to some extent, was this world war. All right. Because when a war kicks off, like I said, we've covered this before, the economy tends to do better because it ramps up. Everybody's mobilizing for war. Everybody's having jobs now. Nobody's looking for jobs. And so that's why a lot of people, or a lot of economists say this is what actually truly brought the country out of the Great Depression. Now, the New Deal helped, but it didn't fully bring the country out of it. And the last thing here, this is important because it's always on the final exam too, and it's going to be on your test. The Supreme Court case of Korematsu versus the United States. It says question mark, discriminatory policy. It was a discriminatory policy. What the country did was, because of this fear and this resentment, this backlash towards the Japanese, because there's sudden and deliberate surprise attack at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. What the country did was they rounded up people of Japanese ancestry, or these Japanese Americans. So it wasn't just Japanese, it was Japanese Americans. All right, these are American citizens the country is taking, and they're putting them in internment camps. All right, this is different than what was going on in Germany. So don't compare. I'll tell you, it's the same as far as they're rounded up and put into camps. But in Germany, what they did with the Jewish people, those were extermination camps. Right, that's where they're literally just killing off these people of Jewish descent. All right. In America, though, what America did was they took Japanese Americans, so it's Americans taking other Americans and putting them in an internment camp, putting them in an area, to confining them to a certain area. And the reason they did that is because they felt like that some Japanese Americans would still aid the Japanese in attacking America, or that they were spies against America. Okay, so it's this paranoia against people we were at war with. Okay, and it happens again in America with the Cold War when we get to that. So this is really a black mark on the Supreme Court case, because they ruled that it was okay for Americans to take other Americans, Japanese Americans, and put them in concentration camps, not internment camps, not concentration. Well, sort of, it's an internment camp. Put them in a concentrated area. Okay, so it's that, along with the Dred Scott decision, are really two just bad looks for the Supreme Court. So make sure you know what about that Korematsu versus United States case. All right, but you should know, because I sat here and I just taught it to you. All right, please, any questions, email me. Look, I saw one of you guys yesterday when I was out shopping at the fresh market. So if you see me, look, I don't know what y'all look like because this is virtual. All right, but y'all know what I look like because here I am, every day on the camera. So say hi to me.